الحمد لله. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. نسأل الله الهداية ونسأله التقوى ونسأله الرحمة. We ask Allah to forgive our sins. It's Him that we worship, alone with no equals or partners. It's His forgiveness that we seek. It's His guidance that we yearn for. It's His Jannah that we aim for. We ask Allah to give us the permission to reside in His Jannah, where our father Adam lived. Ameen. Brothers and sisters, we're living the last days of the Hijri year, and it's an occasion for us to reflect on our deen, on our character, and our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet who came to seal the divine messages to mankind. The Prophet says, "La nabiyya min ba'di." There is no prophet after me. The instructions that Allah wanted to give mankind were sealed by the instructions that came with our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah tells us, وَلَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. You have a good role model for you in your Prophet, in the Prophet of Allah. And Allah describes him, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. That you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have the highest level of akhlaq. And when you look at the word akhlaq or khuluq, you find that it's derived from the same word khalaqa. And khalaqa means to create. And Allah created mankind. And Allah says, أَلَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ عَيْنَيْنِ وَلِسَانًا وَشَفَتَيْنِ وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. The difference between the two tiers. One is the physical structure. Allah made you tall, made you big, made you small, gave you eyes, gave you tongue. And then وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ, and we showed him two paths, the good and the bad. And Allah, through His Prophet, sent to us the path that He prefers, through the Quran and through the Sunnah. And the Sunnah is whatever was said or done by the Prophet. And when Aisha radiallahu anha was asked about the Prophet's character and khuluq, she said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. His character, his manners was the Quran. And Allah tells us, وَلَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. You have a role model to follow in the Prophet. As Muslims, we need to know those qualities so that we can emulate them and live the same way the Prophet lived. And I want to remind you of an ayah that we all know in the Quran. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لا يغيروا ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. Allah will not change the status of a people until they have an internal change, until they change themselves. If you're a good person, if the nation is a good nation, if the people are a good people, then the blessings of Allah will fall upon it. And that will not change until the community, the individuals, and the nation changes. When that happens, then Allah will turn His face away and let you do what you're doing. And if you're in a mess, and if you're seeking a change, the change will come when you change. And Allah will look at you and will protect you. Someone just yesterday sent me a small clip, a video clip. And I want to share it with you, to let you know that when Allah looks at you, He protects you. And when He turns His head away from you, you're destined for trouble. A school child, maybe 10, 12 years old, he was standing on a curb. And the video went on for maybe about a minute and a half. He's standing. There's a metal fence right in front of him. And there's a pole on the right side, an electric pole. And he's standing next to the electric pole, pacing 2 steps to the right and 2 steps to the left. And then he decides to take 5 steps to the right. And as soon as he made those 5 steps to the right, a speeding car comes in and crashes on the fence where he was standing. He would have died. But Allah wanted him to move away. Allah must have had a good reason to keep him alive. Maybe his parents were good. Maybe he was good. Maybe he was destined to be someone important who would lead humanity to a better change. But whatever it is, Allah wanted him to survive. Split second. And this reminded me of the ayah in Surah Al-Ra'd. له معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه يحفظونه من أمر الله. That every one of us has angels standing next to him, to the right, to the left, in front and behind you, protecting you. We don't see them. We don't see them, but they are there. And to me, maybe I'm exaggerating, but to me, this child was an example of those معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه يحفظونه من أمر الله. Wallahi, and I say it sincerely, that if it wasn't for Allah's mercy on us, we will not be able to survive. And if you have faith in Allah, He will give you the guidance, and He will draw your path, and He will protect you and protect generations after you from your offspring. Let me go back to our Prophet ﷺ. He was protected, huwa ma'soom. He was protected from erring and making mistakes. Maybe we're not, but Allah tells us, you have a role model in the Prophet. And this reminds me, when I first read, the first time when I read the seerah of the Prophet, when he was a young man, he wanted to go and attend a wedding. And I'm not sure why he didn't just go into the wedding, but instead, he went to the place where the wedding was happening. before the people came in, and he sat behind the wall. And he woke up in the morning, the wedding was over. Allah made him sleep behind the wall. He wanted to watch the wedding, but he didn't. Allah protected him for whatever reasons. I'm not sure what was going on in those weddings in those days, but Allah did not want to expose him to certain things. So he is protected. And any criticism that may one point out about the Prophet, as mentioned in the Quran, عَبَسَ وَتَوَلَّى أَنْ جَاءَهُ الْأَعْمَى مَا كَانَ لِنَبِيٍّ أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُ أَسْرَى عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْكَ لِمَا أَذِنْتَ لَهُمْ. These are ijtihads that the Prophet did, and Allah corrected him. It's not an intentional error that the Prophet did. It's not what we humans do. He is protected, and he is Ma'soom, and he is our Prophet, and he is our role model. Aisha radiallahu anha says, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. His manners was a personification of the Quran. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is our role model. One of the things that the Prophet said when he was asked by one of his companions, the man came to him and he said, "Advise me, O Prophet. Give me an advice." And the Prophet tells him, "La taghdab. La taghdab." The Prophet was asked again, "Advise me, O Prophet." And the second time, he tells him, "La taghdab." And for the third time, the man asks the same question, and the Prophet answers the same answer. La taghdab. Don't lose your temper. Don't get angry. Don't behave without control. There's an old saying that says, "Al-ghadab rih tutfi'u siraj al-fikr." Anger is like a blow of wind that puts off the light that lights your day or your night. Just imagine yourself in darkness and you have a small flame in front of you that lights up the area where you are. In a day where there is no moon and the wind comes in and blows it off, you don't know what's around you. Total darkness. Al-ghadab, anger, will do to your brain exactly like that. You will be lost. You will not know which path you would take, right or left. You don't know what's going to happen if you turn right. Is the path clear in front of you, or is there a hole that's going to hurt you? Don't lose your temper. And some may say, "I have no control over it." Yes, if you lose your temper, then you have no control over yourself. The adrenaline takes over, and you will have absolutely no control. That's true. But Allah says, وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. The Prophet doesn't speak from his desires. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. When the Prophet tells you لَا تَغْضَبْ, that means you can control it. Maybe you can't control it after you lose your temper, yes, but you should be able to avoid getting to the point where you lose your temper. And I was talking to a person and he says, this is true. When he was in the army, he said none of us could raise his voice against his superior, even if he was one step above him. If you're in the army, you listen and you obey. You have no choice but to obey. If your superior insults you, yes sir. And this is true in any army. So yes, we can control our temper. Yes, we can control our anger. And I can't see why we don't apply that in our homes, with our spouses, with our children, with our students, with our teachers, with our neighbors. If we can control our temper, we will do what the Prophet asked us to do. Take a step back. Say, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem. If you're sitting, stand up. Change your position. The Prophet tells us how to avoid getting to the point of no return. So, لا تغضب. A quality that we need as Muslims to learn. A quality that we need to teach our children how to behave and how to act. Your child will remember when he grows up, my father or my mother used to throw a tantrum. Becomes a norm for him. But when he knows and remembers that my father never did this, he will not do it. Because you're his role model. And you should be following the role model of the Prophet. This way you transmit that instructions to your child. And if we do that, we will change. And if we do that, the rule of Allah will apply to us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. When we improve, Wallahi, Allah will look at us. And He will protect us the way He protected that child when he was standing next to the wall. Another quality, selfishness. When I was a young boy, meatballs were delicious. And when we have meatballs for dinner, the five of us will take 1, 2, 3, 4, put it in his dish, hide it so that he can have enough. And then all of a sudden, the bowl is empty. There's no meatballs. And if someone of the five of us was late, he was late. Mom, I don't have any meatballs. What did mother do? When she gets the bowl, you take one, you take one, you take one, you take two, you take two, you take two. We were taught not to be selfish. And it's the human nature. We all want things for us. If you look at a child 1 or 2 years old, he wants to grab everything for himself. And it's us, the adults, the older brothers, the parents, who will teach the child how to be selfless, how to learn how to share. And the Prophet ﷺ tells us, لا يؤمن أحدكم. None of you will be a true believer until he loves to his brother what he loves to himself. If you want to be a true faithful, a true believer, love to your brother what you love to yourself. And Allah tells us in the Quran even something better than that. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. They will give what they have to others even though they need it. And the Prophet ﷺ was a man who was generous. I remember a story when, after one of the battles, there was a lot of cattle and sheep. And a man came from outside to meet the Prophet. He wanted to become a Muslim, or he wanted to inquire about Islam. And the Prophet saw him looking at the herd of the sheep and cattle in front of him. And the Prophet said, "Do you like them?" The man said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Take them. They are yours." And the man took the herd and went to his people, and he said, "I came to you from a man who fears not poverty. جئتكم من رجل لا يخشى الفقر." So don't be concerned if you give from what you have to someone who needs it. And in Al-Imran, Allah tells us, لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. You shall not achieve the birr until you spend from what you love, what's dearest to you. Don't be like the son of Adam. When he wanted to give a qurban for Allah, he gave him something that he didn't like. I don't need this, so I'll give it to Allah. If you want to give for the sake of Allah, give from what you like the most. Selflessness. Love to others what you'd love to yourself. The third quality, and I will end with that, cleanliness. Behavior in public. Often I walk into the masjids and I see the shoes scattered into the entrance. You will attend a dinner and you will see people finishing the bottle and throwing it on the floor. Or you see someone finishing his plate and he doesn't care. He leaves it at the windowsill. This is not a quality of a Muslim. The Prophet was never reported to have done something that's not acceptable. Yes, he was ma'soom, but he was our example. And I'm not saying here that we don't make mistakes. We make mistakes, and I'm the first one who will make them. But we learn from our mistakes. If you see a sign, please leave your shoes on the shelf. Please leave your shoes on the shelf. If you see a sign, please close your telephone. You don't want the phone to start ringing the song while we're praying. Yes, we can make mistakes, but we learn from it. And this reminds me of another story during the Prophet time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he was at the masjid, and an Arabi came from a distance. He wasn't a Muslim, he just heard of Muhammad. He came, where is Muhammad? He's in the masjid. He went to the masjid and he wanted to pee. And he stood up at the corner of the masjid and he started peeing. And the Sahaba around him started to raise their voice and yell. And the Prophet told them, leave him. When the man finished, the Prophet called him and taught him that this is a place, a clean place. We need to keep it clean so that we can pray in it. And the man was heard saying, Allahumma arhamni wa Muhammad wa la tarham ma'ana ahad. Oh Allah, bless me and forgive me and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and don't forgive anyone else, because he saw the anger in the eyes of the others. The man did not do it intentionally, that's his nature. And he didn't realize that the masjid is a clean place. You teach him. So if we make a mistake, anyone makes a mistake, our responsibility is to help him. not to squish him, not to destroy him, but to elevate him and bring him up to par. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah. We thank Allah for giving us the guidance. We seek His forgiveness. And we seek His guidance. Jibreel alayhi salam was telling the Prophet, عش ما شئت فإنك ميت. Live as long as you want. You're destined to die. And if the Prophet is destined to die, have no question and no doubt, we are all, no exception, none whatsoever, we'll all die. عش ما شئت, live as long as you want, فإنك ميت, you're going to die. واحبب من شئت, love whoever you want, فإنك مفارق, you're going to depart from that person who you love. واعمل ما شئت, do whatever you want, you're going to face it. Be sure that you're going to die. Be sure that you're going to leave the ones that you love. And be sure that you're going to be asked. You are going to be asked for every action that you do. And I ask Allah to give us the guidance to have an answer for everything that we do. Let me share with you a story that was on the news just 2 days ago, over the week. A doctor from Long Island, she was found dead in the hallway of an apartment building in New York. Some of the news said that she was seen leaving an apartment, pale, blue lips, and topless. She's a mother of 4. Wallahi, when I heard this, I felt sorry for her. I felt sorry for her. And I remembered that we will all stand up in front of Allah. We all ask Allah to shelter us and not embarrass us on the day of judgment. Just imagine yourself standing up in front of Allah and everybody around you watching you, and Allah is not shielding you. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed in front of a large crowd of people. Work for that day. If your intentions are good, Allah will cover you. And He will tell you in private. He will not show your mistakes to anyone else. He will not embarrass you. He will not embarrass you. Work and act with that in mind. You do not want to be embarrassed the day of judgment. You do not want to be asked about every mistake that you have done in front of billions of people. The New Year is coming, and the Hijrah is a landmark in history, in mankind's history. The Hijrah changed the history of mankind. It made Islam become a dominant factor for more than 1,000 years. Within less than 50 years, Islam was spreading from China all the way to the western end of the known world at that time. And the Prophet says that hijrah is to desert the wrongdoing. It's not necessarily just traveling from one land to another, but traveling with your morals, with your character, from doing wrong to a character that does nothing but good. And again, we are human beings, and we all can make mistakes. If you make a mistake, don't break down. Don't say that I don't deserve Allah's mercy. Because Allah's mercy is open for everyone. Allah's mercy is open for us when we make mistake. But we need to recognize what we've done, and we need to change, repent, and not do it again, not intentionally. Brothers and sisters, on a Friday like this, there's a moment where Allah will accept it. Let's have that feeling in our heart that Allah is listening to us, and may He accept our dua. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قدرت علينا. Allah give us the guidance to be your pious servants. Allah give us the residence and grant us residence in your Jannah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم